Hey there, so glad that you're joining me today. I'm Priscilla, and this is The Chat with Priscilla. It's where we sit down and we chat about things that hopefully will be a blessing to your life. Today I'm excited because I get to introduce you to a couple that I have known for about 2 decades now. They have made an imprint not only on me personally and the lives of the people who are around them personally, but they have made an imprint on the entire world. I'm talking about Grammy award-winning gospel artist Kirk Franklin and his wife Tammy. We're gonna have a great conversation today, so stay tuned. This is a good day. It's a good day to have a good conversation with 2 of my favorite people on the face of the earth, because they are just funny, they are delightful, they enjoy each other, and they enjoy life in general. They enjoy their friendships. They have a bountiful, beautiful life, and the beauty of it sort of rubs off on everybody who's around them. It was just earlier this year that I got to celebrate with them their 20th anniversary, 20 years of being married. That's a big deal, right? That's a big deal. And they've done it beautifully, so I thought it'd be a good time to just sit on the couch with them, my friends, and talk to them about the beauty of their life, the impact that they've made on the people around them, but most importantly, how special they are to each other. There are lessons we can learn from Kirk and Tammy Franklin. Will you please welcome them to the program today? Yay, I'm glad you're here. He's a character. This is what he does.
Y'all start praying right now. Start praying right now.
You're going to sit right over here. Can you sit, Kirk?
Well, we need booster seats, so...
Well, it is what it is.
Swing.
You're not going to sit close to me?
You got to sit close.
These are comfortable.
They are very comfy.
Look at Lifeway. Look at Lifeway.
Yep.
Lifeway got some nice couches.
They got some nice... Well, and we wanted to make them high so we could see you.
It's on now. It's
yeah.
on.
Well, I knew we were going to have a good conversation. I've kind of been asking them to come and sit on this couch for a very long time. And the thing
I would have
is,
known how comfortable they are. I would have come early.
well, it's not just that, but you're busy. You guys have a very, very busy life. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I want to talk to you, because everybody's lives are busy. Y'all's life is kind of busy on 10 just because you have a very public life, and still somehow you've made it to 20 years of marriage. You actually still like each other. Because see, there's some people who are still married, but they don't really talk. They're not really friends. They don't really have a relationship with each other, and you guys do. So I want to talk to you about why do you think that is, that y'all still are kind of feeling each other after all these years?
You go first, babe.
He's kind of cute. He's really cute. I think, one of the biggest things is we're good friends, and that was kind of the foundation of our relationship from the very get-go. And so, just like when us girlfriends, when you're kind of on the outs with your friend, you can't wait until, things get back together. Yeah. And so that's kind of how we've been. It's just, we're really good friends. We have so much fun together. And I think that, wouldn't you say, just our friendship is...
Yes, my homie. You know, and I think that sometimes women don't realize how important it is for a man to marry his homie. That it's very important to marry your best friend, your road dog, the person you can laugh and you can act silly with, and take the bed sheets and pull over your head and have a little gas. And
God, the gas.
TMI.
It's very important to a man. That's very important to a man to suffocate your wife with your gas. It's important. It's just fun. It's fun. And
Tammy, I'm so sorry for you.
I told everybody to start praying.
It's very important for a man to be able to do that.
But we do.
Yeah, it's very important to have fun and be silly because sometimes the whole title of marriage can be so heavy and weighty.
Kind of take the fun out of just being cool with each other.
Kind of like even being saved. That you would never, like, I remember when I was trying to go to seminary for a minute, and there was a big picture. I was trying to go,
it was a minute.
Yeah, it was quick because I have ADHD.
Yeah,
I was
you
sitting
do.
in the classroom, and I was like,
yeah,
squirrel.
Yeah, that's right.
But there was a big picture that they had of Jesus sitting with the disciples, and he was leaned over laughing like somebody's
Yeah,
telling a joke,
yeah.
cracking up. And I asked why.
Oh, it's a sculpture. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That sculpture that sits right in the middle of the property.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I was 18 back then.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Got it.
but I remember asking why it's so important. It's like because it's very important to show the humanity of the Savior.
The relationship.
Because you always see him, you know, stoic, and I think that when you think about marriage, and you know what's funny is my wife was a lot like that when we first got married.
Yeah.
Like when we first got married, because we were already a ready-made family.
Yeah.
I had a son when I was 17. No, when I was 18, she had a daughter. She was 19. She was fast. She was fast.
I was not.
No, you were not.
I was a good, wholesome Christian girl,
That's
but I wasn't perfect.
She was perfect to me.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and
great.
so when we got married, it was very like she was very like every woman is. You're so much more mature than the man, and we're married.
Much more mature.
I said it already.
I'm
So
agreeing.
She wanted to
I'm
reiterate.
yeah,
I'm
she
agreeing.
said it again.
Maturity
But
is-
they had already heard me, baby.
Okay.
They already heard
All
me.
right.
And so when we got married, she was very serious about their schedules and the planning and
I was being a mom.
Yeah.
and I wanted to have fun with them. I wanted to play, and I didn't
Oh,
want
no,
to.
no. hold-
I
hold-
remember
hold-
you being, but you've loosened up a lot too, Kirk.
He has. But
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you mean loosen up?
You just.
I was
you were
always
kind-
loose.
I'm saying
Well,
you had particulars about your life and about Tammy and about, you know, and you've kind of, you know, up 20 years, you've kind of just gotten a little bit more relaxed about a lot of things.
Gotcha. Well, because you try to learn, because again, you know, your examples are also kind of stoic too.
Yeah.
So you're trying, and they're being raised in the church, especially the African American church at that time. It was very much about.
Yeah.
acting older.
Yeah, because you know,
Definitely.
because even when we look
Protocol
at
and appropriateness.
yeah, because even when we look at older pictures of ourselves, we look old.
Yeah, yeah, look old.
You know, but
Because you were trying to be old.
Yeah.
Or act
Yeah,
older.
you know, and I don't know if anybody ever went through that, but you know, you're trying to fit
Yeah.
in that church system.
Well, I look back at pictures when I was 24 years old, and I thought, because I was kind of being directed towards speaking and teaching, and so everybody I knew that was up on a platform was 50, and they had on these St. John suits, you know, the suits from St. John, and they, you know, it's all like buttoned up right up the center, and my hair was in a French roll in the back of my head. So I look back at 24 years old, and I'm like, I look like a news anchor.
Right.
What was happening?
Those Nancy Reagan suits.
That's right. That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and just, because I kind of know y'all's story, but a lot of people don't, you know, and the reality is you have a very public life. Tammy is by your side most of the time. We see her there
Looking cute.
supporting you, looking real cute. Come on,
Looking real
Tammy is
cute,
cute,
looking
isn't she cute? Yeah. She's cute. She's cute. We don't hate you. We don't. We refuse
Thank you,
to hate
friend.
you. But you are cute. And I just, you know, we see you guys, so people kind of get a good picture of you, but they don't necessarily know the picture of you together. How did you meet each other? And then how did you come to a place? Because I know it was kind of like, you know, in, out, you know.
Yeah,
So how
and
did you get to the place where you decided to be married? Tell us
I'm going to
about
give
that.
it to her because every time I try,
You know, like most men, he tells the story wrong.
He tells the story wrong.
Or
Tammy, that's not fair to say that.
Not wrong, but you know,
Wrong.
Because I don't have any men.
Let's just
that
say
have
it
my
wrong.
back. I don't have any men to have my back.
There's a couple
I
in the
see.
audience. Yeah, there's Grace here. And my husband's here too, so he got you.
Okay.
He got you. Go ahead,
Tell it.
Tammy. But
Oh,
Tammy, go
gosh.
ahead.
Our story is really long, though, so I'm going to try to really give
Okay.
a condensed version. But we first met when we were fresh out of high school, and we were at a water amusement park in Texas, and it was then called Wet and Wild, but it was a water amusement park. You have to clarify that. 'Cause
Wet and Wild.
Here, Wet and
Yeah, it
Wild.
does sound a little
Yes,
interesting.
now it's called Hurricane Harbor. now.
Yes, okay.
Not
And-
a place for the saints.
Yeah. And so I was there with my friends. And actually, the guy I was seeing at that time, he was there with his friends. We got into a fight, and so I ended up going outside of the amusement park. And it was getting ready to close. And so I had on, you know, this cute little yellow bikini looking kind of cute. And I had a towel wrapped around my waist. And so I'm just, you know, sitting there waiting for my friends to come out. And these two guys come and snatch the towel off of me and kind of start, you know, horse playing. And so, you know, I'm already not in a quite so good mood.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, this guy comes walking up wearing, was it cross colors or willy wear?
One of the other
One,
cross colors.
one of those. fully dressed.
Do you remember Cross Colors?
Yeah, I remember cross colors. Y'all remember that? Anybody?
Somebody?
Yeah. New Kids on the Block used to
New
wear
Kids
it
on
all
the Block,
time.
yeah.
And so, you know, he's fully clothed. Remember, we're at a water amusement park,
Yeah.
and so I'm already looking like, okay, who's this?
Who is this?
So he starts chastising the guys.
Didn't he have a Jerry curl?
He did have a curl.
Yeah, a little
yes.
curl.
Half a curl. It didn't really ever do well.
It didn't never curl all the way
It
over.
never did curl all the way up, so I struggled with it.
It was a homemade curl.
It's more like a James
Did you
Brown.
tell me it was a homemade curl?
Yeah, everybody need to go back and look at the old,
Yes,
the
go
old
back.
pictures
The
of
one that
Kirk.
Jerry Curl
Go
was a
back.
James curl. James Brown curl. Go ahead, baby.
That was a little corny.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Tell
anyway. So anyway, so he starts, you know, really chastising the guys, and so one of the guys goes, "You're the one that told us to take the towel from her because you wanted to meet her." And
Kirk
Franklin. And
James Brown curl.
now meeting him today, you wouldn't be shocked by that story, right? Because I mean, he's silly.
Silly all
And
the time.
What I remember most is it made me die laughing.
Just laugh.
I just bust up laughing. And so then I'm thinking, okay, well, the guy that I was seeing at the time was inside. He's getting ready to come out. I can make him jealous. So I'm like, you just stand right here.
She used me.
I did for a second. And and we began to, you know, to kind of talk. But the thing that caught my attention, I said, what are you doing here, you know, fully clothed? You know? He said, well, I'm a minister of music. And I'm just leaving the church. Well, I was a church girl, and that just spoke volumes to me. I mean, I don't even think I even realized how much it did. You know, being 18 at the time, and he was being so honest about who he was, and he was unapologetic about it. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, then I wanted to like really talk to him. So I was like, well, let's go over here where we, you know, couldn't be seen. And
So you still walking around in your bikini with the minister?
I have my
Yes,
towel back.
Lord.
Oh, okay.
I have my
Yes, Lord.
I have my towel back.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
I've gotten my towel back.
Okay, that's good.
And so we're talking, and he's telling me, you know, we're talking about our, you know, I mean, it was a really deep conversation.
Yeah, because he's actually a very deep guy. We're going to talk about that.
Yes, very. And so he begins to tell me, you know, how he wants to do music, and he wants to do it at a whole nother level, and how he loves all these different genres. He said, you know, I'm hip hop. I love, you know, classical. I love old school. I want all of that infused in my music. And I'm just listening to this 18-year-old kid like me who has this vision, and I'm really in awe. Like, whoa, wait. Yeah, so I'm not used to meeting 18-year-old boys who are honest about coming from church.
And have some direction.
And have some, you know, so I'm really intrigued.
Yeah.
Well, we exchanged numbers, and I really ended up thinking that he never called me, but he did. And he got my sister.
She's mean. Bro.
And you know, we all kind of have that.
She's a very big family. This one right here.
I am the oldest of 7.
Yeah.
And
So he got who? Devidra?
David,
you're not supposed to say the name.
You knew it.
She's just
You knew it.
protective. She's not mean. She's protective.
So he called and got her on the phone, and what happened?
She's a little off. She's a little
She's a
off.
little off.
You stop it.
Devidra's awesome.
Yes, thank you, Priscilla.
She's awesomely off.
No, she's that sister that will like,
Yeah.
for real, stab for you, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Give you a beat down.
Yes, and so literally, you know, she
She's sweet.
she answers the phone, and
But she wasn't sweet.
she's that sister that's like, she's not here,
Yeah.
and so he thought,
And I was so intimidated by that. Oh, sorry. I was so intimidated by that. I never called back.
so I thought he never
You
called
never
me.
thought he never called.
So fast forward, I told y'all this was long. I'm gonna try to speed it up. Fast forward 3 years.
Yeah, like years go by.
4.
3.
4.
See, this is what I mean.
1988
We don't
to
agree.
1992.
We don't agree.
Baby, that was 1988.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you
Kirk,
something.
Because there's no
girl
recording
told the story. Kirk,
Thank you,
this
Priscilla.
is my interview, and I
I'm
think
trained.
Tammy's
I'm
telling the
trained.
story right
I
now.
am trained. I did this. I'm trained. I'm trained.
When he wants to be. He's trying. Okay. Anywho, so it's about 3.5. I'll meet you in the middle. About 3.5 years later, and a girlfriend. By then, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
And a girlfriend of mine was dating a guy that was working on this guy's demo, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you have to meet him. He's doing music, and it's like infused with everything." And it did not register with me. I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." And so she's like, "You should come to the recording. You know, of his. He's going to record his demo at this church." And I just said, I just don't think I'm interested. I'm not interested in meeting anyone. My daughter's biological father and I were no longer together, and just kind of wasn't interested. And so she's like, so she finally convinced me to come. Tisha.
Yeah.
And we have a good friend, Tisha, in common. And I go to the recording, and he jumps out on stage. I'm sure they announced his name.
And when she says jumps out on
he
stage,
jumps
that's
out on
exactly
stage.
what he did.
And he had this vest on, and he had this part that was like engraved, in his head.
Was it in the James curl? Was it in?
Now he's a little more sophisticated.
A little more sophisticated.
And it's
so curl's working a little better.
It's a little better, and it's it's a little tapered in the back.
Yes.
And
have you seen Kirk Franklin in concert? Yeah. Because there is nothing kind of poised and put together in terms of his presentation. When you think kind of Christian worship artist, that ain't
Christian
what
aerobics, I'd say.
It is the most energetic, amazing thing you've ever seen, because he literally is jumping around the stage for 2 hours and giving the gospel. Like, he's a preacher of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that is clear through every single stanza of every word that you sing. Absolutely. And we're grateful for it, because our lives have been changed by your ministry. Our lives have been changed by that.
Mine too.
Yeah, yours too.
So he jumps out on stage.
He does.
And I'm like,
did you recognize him?
I did immediately. I said to my girlfriend, is his name Kirk? And she says, yes. That's what I've been trying to tell you about. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I wasn't upset at that moment. I hadn't thought about the fact, wait a minute, he didn't call me. Yeah. It wasn't that. It was, he's doing it.
He's doing it.
He's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And so I'm literally sitting there in complete awe, like, oh my gosh. And so, the concert's amazing. And it eventually ends up being the Why We Sing album.
I was about to ask, was that the Reason Why We Sing album?
Why We Sing album.
Y'all remember that song, The Reason Why I Sing? Yeah.
And so,
you better sing, girl. She can sing.
Yes, she can.
Sing.
Not really.
Yes, she can.
Go ahead.
So after the concert, my girlfriend's like, well, why don't you come back and say hello? Well, I'm a good, good little girl. And I'm like, no, that's okay. So anyway, I told my girlfriend that she can give him my number. And he calls me, and when he was on stage, he was kind of checking me out. And but
he saw him from the stage checking you out.
Oh yes, I mean, he's doing his little moves, and he's like.
The sad part is I was.
He was.
I was.
That's a mess. Gospel artist checking out the woman on the front row.
He's 20. He's 20-year-old.
22.
Yeah.
Were you 22?
And she was fine.
She
beautiful, and I mean, she was my wife.
She was your wife.
Yeah. So naturally, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Zero in on her.
Yeah.
You cleaned that up real good, Kirk.
Didn't he?
That was good.
Real
Yeah.
good.
You cleaned that up good.
That was a good sanctified answer.
Yeah, it was good.
So
he calls me, and he obviously was trying to check me out, but he didn't remember me initially like that, as the girl that he met at the water music.
Because you didn't have a bikini on in that moment.
Yeah. I was yes.
Yeah.
And so
Jerry, would you come help me, brother?
I said to him, do you remember me? And so, he's like, and I, refresh his memory. He goes, oh my gosh. I said, you never called me. Yes, I did. So we get into this back and forth about it. Long story short, we end up seeing each other.
The next day we got married.
No, we did not.
Too long.
It's too long.
It's too long.
It's too long.
We were married 21.
Yes.
21 years. We have 4 children. Still together. Still my homie. I love her. Next question.
Yes, because I mean, there's a whole lot more. But anyway, that's how we met. That was your question. How did you meet?
That's a
how
good
we
question.
met.
I mean, that's a good answer, though.
Yes.
We liked all those details, didn't we? Yeah. That's good stuff right there. And for the people that are on the verge of maybe blended families, or they're in it right now and they're trying to figure out some help to really blend well, what are some of the hiccups that y'all ran across and some of the lessons that you learned about how to blend well?
Well, Tammy comes from such good stock because her mom and dad, the 7 siblings that she has, is a blended family as well.
That's right. It's like the Brady Bunch. That's what we call y'all. Yeah.
They're the Cosbys.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's good anymore.
The Cosby Show.
The Cosby Show is amazing.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Cosby Show's good. So I'll never be invited back again. So she came from this good place of having such a good teacher, because
healthy.
Tammy's dad is amazing.
Yes, Mr. Collins.
Yeah,
awesome.
and Tammy's mom is a beast too, so beast is good.
Yeah,
good.
it's good.
So yeah, you know, like for example, it's so incredible. Tammy's first year of marriage, we were married like 10 months. About 10, 11 months. She was pregnant with our first child, and we had home. It was a house that I purchased before we got engaged. So when we got married, we were living in this house. Her parents were living out of town with siblings. They all came in town for the holidays, Christmas. So the house is packed full of her siblings and mom and dad upstairs. And Tam and I get into this horrible fight. I mean, horrible.
It was his fault, of course.
Horrible fight, right? And so as we're fighting, she yells for her dad. She said, "Daddy!" And
How did she say it?
"Daddy!" And now, mind you, I was acting a fool.
I was gonna say,
So,
tell the truth. Tell the
I
whole
was
truth.
acting a 26-year-old fool.
Yes.
Right? Let me tell you.
Okay.
And so I was acting a fool. And so she's like, "Daddy!" And then she's like, she said, "Say what you said then. Say it in front of my daddy. Say it in front of my daddy."
I did. I went total sister girl.
I like,
I was like,
she's like, "Say it in front of my daddy. Say it in front of my daddy." And mind you, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. Her mom and dad come out of the room. Now, mind you, I'm adopted.
Yeah.
I have no mother, no father, no siblings. It's all me by myself.
with a house full of my family.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to get everybody on my side. Hey, I'm by myself. Yeah. So I'm in the house by myself, no family. Everybody in the house is her family. And I'm still 9, 10 months in the marriage. So when she yelled for him, I was upset and angry because, again, this was a house that I bought before we got married.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Tammy's mom and dad came out of the room at 3 o'clock in the morning, grabbed my hand, grabbed Tammy's hand, and in the middle of that floor, they both fell on their knees and started praying over us.
Yep.
Man, I've never had a dad.
I was about to say, you've never seen anything like that in your life.
I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like that, because if my daughter would have been calling for me at 3 o'clock in the morning, "Daddy," I would have karate chopped that boy so bad. But her mom and dad just mirrored just a heart, because for them,
He was their son.
I was their son.
Yeah.
And so they were pulling the son and daughter together and rebuking any spirit against this union. Man, that broke me and
And it's
humbled me so
hard to
much.
keep fighting in the midst of that.
Oh,
you
it
know?
was over. It was no more fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And you know what? You know, this is what I want to ask you. I can't believe how quickly the time goes. This is the end of our, just part one. But I want to end asking you this question, Kirk, because you brought up the fact that you're sort of from this, for lack of a better word, dysfunctional family unit in
very
terms of
Very.
your upbringing. So this is the first time as you're coming into the Collins sort of camp. I know it's Franklin, she's married into your camp, but you're seeing Mr. and Mrs. Collins. You're seeing a healthy marriage where a husband is leading and praying and people that are coming together. I want to ask you, how did what you came out of, how did it sort of shape mistakes that you were making or bents that you had in what you tended toward in your marriage? And how did you find the healthy marriage that you saw in your in-laws sort of begin to reshape and reformulate the way you wanted to establish your own family?
Great question. I was adopted when I was 4 by a 64-year-old widow. She was a widow, and she raised me on Social Security, food stamps, and government funding. My biological grandfather was in prison for murder. I had a stepsister, I had a half-sister, we had the same mother, different dad. I saw her father beat her. He was in prison. My sister, at the age of 17, went to prison for 10 years. At 13, I heard my biological mother tell my adopted mother I wanted an abortion. I didn't even want him. I was raised in that dysfunction of being rejected. So I was born being a fighter, and I was always short. I've been this height since I was 7, you know.
You know, Jerry told me, because Jerry, my husband, and Kirk were in church together growing up.
Yeah.
They went to the same church growing
How
up.
tall is Jerry? How tall is Jerry?
Jerry's 6'3".
Yeah, so Jerry used to carry me on his hip in church.
Just kidding.
He put me on the organ.
Hi, look her. So I was raised being a fighter. she was raised being very solution-driven.
Yeah.
Hey, we could work this out. And I would fight and try to push her away and be very quick to go because it's almost like I was so used to being
you wanted to do it
abandoned
first.
that I would want to do it first because I felt like someday you were going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And so that type of dysfunctional thinking followed me everywhere I went, and then I met somebody who was healthy. Tammy, man, and I don't want to make it, she wasn't perfect, but bruh, she was so.
It's very close.
We like Tammy, don't we?
she-
We like Tammy.
She saved my life.
Yeah.
She saved my life. She saved my life because I was a really, really broken kid, and that drug was music, and not being raised in a very healthy church environment, where it's more religious. Because when you have a gift, sometimes in the urban church, your gift can sneak you through.
Yep.
And no one ever questions your character and your integrity. And so you can slide through and you can date all the girls in the church and do all of that because.
But then that spotlight starts to burn you alive because you have no strength of character to carry you up.
Because if the light shining on you is brighter than the light shining in you,
It's over.
the light shining on you will destroy you.
Destroy you.
Yeah. And I
And
found
you were
myself-
getting destroyed.
I was getting destroyed and selling millions of albums
Yeah.
while being destroyed.
Yeah.
And then I ran into a guy by the name of Tony Evans.
Thank you, Tony Evans.
And another hero,
Yeah.
And
He's
I
my
can't
hero,
talk
too.
about that too much. Can't do that too much. I talk about Tammy and Tony, can't do it too long. Nah.
Kirk Franklin will be at my father's house. My dad is Tony Evans. He's my pastor too. He's their pastor. How long y'all been at the church?
It's 18 years.
Yeah.
18 years. So Kirk will be at my father's house.
I call your dad his best friend.
No, my play friend. She said, you can go play with your play buddy tonight.
Well, Kirk's kind of like our fifth sibling. There are four of us, but then there's Kirk. Kirk is our fifth sibling. And he will very consistently, not only with your father, but with my father, very consistently press into that relationship. He'll be over there late at night. He'll be on the phone calling, chasing wisdom, chasing health, chasing a shaped mentality from these men who have gone before you. You've made that your passion.
Which is not my natural nature. I'm naturally the one that's afraid to get on people's nerves because I know that he has kids. And so I'm always afraid of getting on y'all's nerves. But he has so much of what I need that I'm willing to run the risk of looking like a fool. And I always tell Priscilla all the time, thank you for letting me get the crumbs. Thank you for letting me get the crumbs because I take the crumbs and I make a meal. I make a meal and it makes me a better man for her, for my kids, and to not repeat the same cycle that my father and his father and their father made because that whole history is bad.
Yeah.
But,
And
it's
your
a new
dad's
day.
willingness to, disciple him. Because, he really didn't have that. When we first got married, a lot of, he had he had, good pastors in his life. But, I think that...
Yeah, but I had pastors that wanted me to announce my tithes
Yeah.
because they wanted to motivate the church to give.
Kind of parade Kirk
That type of
Franklin around the
old
church.
Yeah.
and
bad theology.
Yeah.
And it's horrible theology.
Yeah, they were more intrigued with
His celebrity.
Kirk Franklin, and but your dad gave
Isn't
him.
that horrible?
It's bad.
Isn't that horrible that a pastor wants you to announce your tithes?
Yeah.
What is that? So, at Oak Cliff, if you get there late, you got to sit
Sit in
wherever
the
you
balcony.
can.
Yeah.
But your-
There's
your,
no VIP sitting.
Your
No.
dad's willingness to give him what he really needed and look past, who he
To ask him the
was.
hard questions.
Ask him the hard questions.
Get in his business.
Oh, no.
Gave me a new husband.
Wait, watch this.
Yeah.
When it was time to join the church, and we were going through the new membership program, and it came up about baptism. Well, I hadn't been baptized since I was 4, because in the Black Baptist church, you had to be baptized before you could sing in the choir or play. So I was 4 years old. I didn't
know what you were doing.
I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought it was a cute little pool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go swimming in the pool. But all the other kids go swimming in my clothes. And so
Did you have a shower cap on to protect your jerry curl?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because then at 4, it was a natural.
It was a natural.
Afro.
Yeah, yeah.
And I want to keep the afro big, you know. But when I started going to the church and was going through the new membership program and found out I had to be baptized, I went to your dad. I said, sir, I know that to be a member, you have to be baptized through the, through the new membership program. And, listen to this. I said, I was 29.
I know.
I said, I know that probably a lot of people out there have my albums and, and it's a little embarrassing, the fact that they may not know that I'm not baptized. So I was kind of, I'm stuttering. He stopped me and said, are you asking me to give you a private baptismal? And I said, well, he said, you must be out of your mind. He said, you have lost your, if you think.
Because the whole point of it is
it's public.
He said, you're going to get your behind up there like everybody else.
Yeah. I remember that day. I remember that Sunday.
Dude, and the Sunday that I did it, you don't remember what happened to you? The Sunday that I did it, because when you get baptized, family members in the audience would stand up.
That's what I was thinking you're about to say.
Yeah.
When it was my time to get baptized, the
whole
whole music ministry of the church stood up.
Yeah. It was a neat moment.
Family.
Yeah.
Family. Family. Yeah.
So, it is incredible being part of that legacy,
Absolutely.
your legacy. Thank you. And
now you guys are creating your own legacy. You have a beautiful, beautiful family of your own. We're going to talk about that even more when we come back for part 2 of this conversation, because we got lots of good stuff that we need to cover, getting to know this couple and the life lessons that they have that are really helping us to live our lives the best way we possibly can. So will you guys please help me
do they start
thank
clapping
them
when
for
we go
being
to the
here.
break?
Well, they're going to clap. This is not a break. This is the end of part 1. They're going to clap because
so
it's
we
the
go
end.
home now.
No, you don't go home because
Oh.
we still have to take part 2.
Okay.
You just sit. This is my show.
Gotcha,
You're not
sorry.
in charge. I don't care how many Grammys you got. I don't care how many Dove Awards you
Some of them
won.
are stolen. Some of them are stolen.
Who stole the Dove Awards?
I did. Some people went to the bathroom. I took their Grammys.
Y'all help me
Oh my
thank them for being here today.